Today we are going to be looking at every single League One club's best ever season, from title winners to automatic promotion, playoff winners, even some clubs that got relegated, yet somehow that is still their greatest ever season. Now, just as a disclaimer, we're going to be going from 2000 onwards because, let's be honest, I don't want to talk about things I have no idea about because I wasn't born. So let's get into the video. Yes, lads, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, if you've watched the previous videos, you'll have seen that I'm actually on this new tool that I've built, Ben Jones Football, and I've done tier lists. Well, today we're going to take it up a notch. So let's get into the first team and I'll show you what we're working with. And as you can see, this is the design. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about the design. But we have got the club badge, we've got the league table, and I've done 5 clubs and I've tried to put the club in the middle, but for some clubs there's a bit of context needed, so whatever. We've got, of course, what the club achieved at the bottom here, and then we've got the manager, the captain, and the top goal scorer. So we're going to do this for all of the 24 clubs in League One. I'm excited for this, but as I say, let me know what you think of the way this all looks in the comments because I've got many more video ideas like this to come. So obviously there's going to be a lot of good moments and a lot of great seasons for all of these clubs. So the way I've just picked it is just from doing my research. And by the way, I have probably spent way too much time on this. So drop a like if you are watching this because I've put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into this. But I've just tried to pick one that I just feel as a fan would you look at and say that's probably the greatest ever season we've had. So that's why I've done it. Now for Wimbledon, I've gone for 2015-16. Of course, League Two playoff final winners. And there's just a few cool facts about this one. So first of all, it's 14 years to the day that they actually formed as a Phoenix club, which is just cool in itself, you know, whatever. But also, they actually played Plymouth as their first ever competitive game. And in the playoff final, it was Wimbledon against Plymouth. So I just thought this was a very cool fact to go along with this one. Of course, though, for Wimbledon, massive achievement, getting back to League One. They are there now, but this just felt special, didn't it? Lyle Taylor as the top goal scorer. And this video, it's been a nostalgia trip. There's been many moments where I've gone back and just gone, wow, I forgot about him, and of course he played for that. So there you go. But Wimbledon has to be this, captained by Barry Fuller. I just think 2015-16, it was a special moment for the club. One that when you look back at as well, you just think, what an achievement to get yourselves back to League One after forming again as a Phoenix club. So yeah, 2015-16 gets the pick for me for Wimbledon. Now then, Barnsley up next, and I've gone for 2007-2008. Now, you're probably looking at the league table on the side here thinking, well, they finished 18th. So how on earth could this be their greatest ever season? Well, if you didn't know, they actually reached the FA Cup semi-final. And what made it so special is they beat Liverpool and Chelsea to get there. So this wasn't just some lucky cup run where they managed to get drawn against sides at similar level. They went up against England's elite clubs and they managed to do a job. And I just think that's very impressive. Now, the worst thing about this is that Barnsley lost the FA Cup semi-final to Cardiff. And it's no disrespect to Cardiff fans if there are any of you watching, but you do Liverpool, you do Chelsea, you've got to do Cardiff. But there you go. That's a different story entirely. But what an achievement it was for Barnsley, who at this point in time, they clearly were not a good side. So to go on that run, absolutely special. Blackpool was actually tough because I was like, do I go for 2009-10 when they got promoted, as I have done, or do I go for the season afterwards in the Premier League? Because they gave it a real good go and there were lots of special moments. But I've gone for this one because I just think this would have been, as a fan, there's nothing more exciting than getting promoted, especially through the playoffs as well. There's just nothing, as a football fan, more exciting. Villa, for example, the playoff final where we went up and the playoff game against West Brom and the Champions League. Obviously, the Champions League's on a different level, don't get me wrong, but the playoffs, man. The playoffs every day of the week. I don't care, whatever you think. But regardless, back to Blackpool. 2009-10, 39 years out of the Premier League, out of the top flight, and they managed to get back. I mean, Ian Holloway became a national treasure during this season. Charlie Adam. Who the hell is Charlie Adam? Well, we found out this season, didn't we? Captain, I know there was a couple of Blackpool captains, but I've gone for Charlie Adam. 16 goals as well for Charlie Adam. Fair play to him. Loved the free kick. And as you can see, they finished 6th in the Championship, 1 point ahead of Swansea. So it could have gone. What is the universe where Blackpool don't go up? 3-2 winners against Cardiff on the actual playoff final. Special. just a special season, and they even did well in the Premier League considering they shouldn't have had a chance. So yeah, 2009-10 for Blackpool, what a season it was. Bolton Wanderers now, I've gone for 2004-2005, and the reason for this is because, as you can see, Bolton finished 6th place in the Premier League, which is just unbelievable for Bolton because they didn't exactly have this massive budget. You know, you're managed by Big Sam Allardyce, you've got Kevin Nolan, Kevin Davis. Just for me, like, and Bolton fans, if you're been around the channel, you know that I big Bolton up because I just think, like, they're just a club that should be in the top flight. And this is sort of why. This is what the Bolton that I grew up on, you know? So finishing in a Europa League place, it wasn't called it back then, but we'll just call it that now for the new younger viewers that might be watching. But Europa League football, which is just insane. And I think when you look at some of the players that were in this squad, for example, JJ Okocha, Fernando Hierro, like Ivan Campo, like as well as, like we've mentioned, Kevin Nolan, Kevin Davis, what's his name? Oh my God, what's his name? The striker, Juve. Why can't I think of his first name? But regardless, like, what a squad it was. What a squad of greats that are never the best players. But when you look back, you think, wow, that was a special squad. It just was. So I've gone for this for Bolton. There was a couple of other ones I could have picked. But realistically, 2004-05, European football being played in Bolton. Are they going to get back to those heights once again? We'll have to see. But as for now, 2004-05, what a season. Bradford City now. And let me be real. Like, there was only ever going to be one season. 2012-13. That League Cup run. Ridiculous. I mean, the fact they got to the League Cup final from League Two is just crazy in itself. But also to then go on and get promotion too, it's just a very special season. I haven't put League Cup finalists down there, but that as well. Couple those two in together. How many good clubs do you see? Like, look at this season, Port Vale. They've gone on a decent cup run, but they're relegated. It's so hard to do it on both fronts. We saw it with Exeter as well. They went on a decent-ish cup run. Like, it's so difficult to do this, yet they managed to do it. And of course, this man here, James Hansen, what a player he was. Now, and by the way, if you do see players and you're thinking, well, that wasn't the kit for 2012-13, or I might have got, for example, he scored 16 goals. You know, I've done my research. Point them out in the comments, please do. But just understand, when you're going back to the depths of League Two football in 2012-13, these images just aren't there. They're not there. So if you do see one, let me know and point it out. But just also cut me some slack is all I'm saying. But Bradford, special season. What a club they are. Now back, of course, in League One, trying to get in the Championship. Maybe if they get to the Championship, would that outweigh this season? I don't think it would. This is special. This is going to be hard to be topped. 2012-13, what a season it was. Burton Albion now, 2015-16, came second, gained automatic promotion, and for the first time in the club's history, they were in the Championship, which is just a huge achievement. Nigel Clough managed from the National League all the way up to the Championship, which is weird that this is a bit of a story these days. There's several clubs that have managed to do it in more modern times, but I just feel as though Burton Albion not really having the financial backing that other clubs will have had or the history before that. I think this is one of the most underrated achievements maybe in EFL history. I think it's so impressive as well, not to go up through the playoffs too, to actually go and get automatic promotion from League One. They had a very good squad. John Machino sat there as the captain. Lucas Akins as the top goal scorer. 12 goals scored for him, which has surprised me that there's not been, like, I thought these greatest ever seasons were going to have some ridiculous goal tallies, but not actually the case, which is interesting. But regardless, Burton, what an achievement this was. First time ever in the Championship. The ground would, at the time, only held about 6,500 as well. So put that into perspective. They had no right getting up there. But they did. Cardiff up next. And I was torn between two here because as much as Barnsley, we mentioned, and they did lose to Cardiff, Cardiff, of course, went to the final. So you might be thinking, well, is that not the greatest ever season? But, of course, they lost to Portsmouth. And we all know how that one went for Portsmouth. Now, in terms of Cardiff, why I've gone for this one is because it's a 51-year wait to get back to Premier League football. They won the league clearly as well. Absolutely clearly. So I just feel as though as a Cardiff fan, you might have enjoyed that cup run, but this would have been something different. This would have been special, you know? It really would have. Managed by Malky Mackay, just back in the Premier League, feeling like you're back where you belong in the big time. Cardiff are a huge club, massive city. should be in the Premier League. So I just feel as though this outweighed it slightly. And it's a fantastic achievement for them, you know, to have gone back to the Premier League. 51 years. Put that into perspective. For some Cardiff fans, that is a lifetime. So yeah, credit where credit's due. 2012-13, it was Cardiff's year in the Championship by a mile. Doncaster Rovers. 2007-8. What a year this was, by the way. The fact that we're only a little bit in and there's been like 3 clubs from 2007-8. Is that the most underrated EFL year in history? Maybe I need to do a whole video on 2007-8. What the hell happened? But regardless, this was such a big moment. So as you can see, Doncaster finishing in 3rd place. Now, they ended up facing Leeds United in the playoff final, which, for context, Leeds huge, especially, I mean, they're still huge now, so if any Leeds fans are watching, don't come for me, but huge. But back in 2007, Leeds were a fallen giant. Like, they should not be in League One, but they were. So going up against Doncaster, who are rivals in terms of geographical location, but nowhere near in club size, and Doncaster getting the job done, winning 1-0. What an amazing moment that is. I imagine for the younger Doncaster fans that maybe don't see times like this, you must be gutted you missed that one, because that one there is going to go down in history. So first of all, fair play. 2 points behind Nottingham Forest. Fair play. And then to go and beat Leeds as well, incredible. Sean O'Driscoll too. When I look back, people were talking about his football being light years ahead of where football was at that point. Possession-based, passing it round the back. So a bit of a revolutionary team. That's probably why Doncaster were able to do so well. And you beat your rivals Leeds in the playoff final to reach the Championship for the first time in the club's history. It doesn't get much better than that, does it? Now then, Exeter. Oh my, do you know what? Like, I haven't even noticed this when filming. 2007-8, providing the goods again. Well, this time, very interesting. Exeter, in 2003-ish, they actually left the EFL. 5 years in National League football. And so to come back, we've seen this. Clubs get lost down there. You can get close. The fact that only one club goes up makes it so hard. Automatically, I mean, of course. Makes it so hard, because if you miss the boat and the money dries out, you just get left for dead. So it's so important to make sure you get yourself back up. Now, what's so impressive about this Exeter squad is that they actually went on a 17-game unbeaten streak in the run-in for these playoffs, which is just phenomenal. Now, they actually beat Cambridge 1-0 on the playoff final, in the playoff final, should I say, and it's a massive, massive achievement, because it's just one of those moments where, and again, like, for example here, Torquay finishing in 3rd. If you don't get there, the ramifications could be so severe. So it's so important to try and get promoted. They did that here. Massive achievement. 2007-8, providing the goods again. Now then, Huddersfield Town. We're out of 2007-8. We are now in 2016-17. David Wagner. One of the most interesting manager appointments we've seen in the Championship. The style of play that he brought to the Championship was very interesting. He's pally with Klopp, isn't he? So it was like a gegenpress style in the Championship. It was a bit different. I'm all for it. I'm here for it. Now, the playoff final, 0-0, goes to penalties. Huddersfield win 4-3 on penalties. So very good in that sense for a club like Huddersfield to go up through the playoffs. As a fan, as I've mentioned, that is the creme de la creme. You don't get better than a playoff final win. It's heartbreak. And I've been on that side where you've lost and it is absolutely miserable. But for a club like Huddersfield that aren't supposed to get there every single year, to go up through the playoffs, unbelievable feeling that must have been. More recent times as well, so I'm sure Huddersfield fans and any fans that I mention of this video, get in the comments. Let me know if you were there. Let me know how it feels. Like, you know, really, really keen to hear on this, because it's hard to pick them. Some of them, like this, they picked themselves, you know, because Huddersfield, it was like a 40+ year wait to get back in the Premier League. So, of course, this one picks itself, but for some, there's multiple. So let me know in the comments. But Huddersfield, massive achievement. David Wagner, you know, it didn't go too well in the Premier League. But look, this is this season. We're talking about this season, and it went very well. Now then, Leyton Orient, 2013-14. They are the first club where there isn't a happy ending. But I've still chose this season because it was just special, wasn't it? Russell Slade as the gaffer. You've got Dave Mooney putting in the goals, 21 goals in all competitions. And look at this league table. Wolves, 103 points. Brentford, 94 points. Leyton Orient, 86. Rotherham, 86 as well. But 86 points is ridiculously impressive. The standard of the teams at the top, in 2013-14 would have been an absolute joke. Now, they gave it a great go. They gave it a great go. Wow, words faded me. But regardless, the playoff final, they led twice against Rotherham, and Leyton Orient fans, you probably think back to this moment and kick yourselves. Led twice, Rotherham came back, Rotherham won on penalties, so it didn't end in that nice, happy way. But it doesn't matter, because ultimately, this was still an amazing season. And when I looked online, I saw all of the fans talking about the atmosphere, like all season long, Leyton Orient, absolutely all for it. So as much as it wasn't the happy ending, as I say, it was still an amazing season, 2013-14. Lincoln City, well, I was going to go for 2016-17, but come on. How can I not? How can I not? Now, Lincoln might this weekend go on to get 100 points. I'm filming this. There are 2 games to go before the actual end of the season. So this points tally, this can all change. These playoff positions, they can all change. Jack Moylan, he might get more than 10 goals. But how could I not go for this? I mean, as a Lincoln fan, surely there's not going to be a better time in the club's history than this. Of course, if they go on and get promotion to the Premier League, different story. But right now, back in the Championship, and I reckon they're going to stay there. I reckon they'll push on, stabilise, and who knows from there. But this was a pivotal season for Lincoln City. Luton Town, 2022-23. This one was obvious. It had to be this. National League to the Championship playoff final. An insane achievement to even be at Wembley in the playoff final, for one. But to actually go on and win the game. Now, of course, Luton went 1-0 up. And so I actually weirdly ended up getting tickets for this game. So strange that I actually went to watch this one, but you could just feel Luton were giving it a good go, but Coventry were the favourites. They had it felt like the bigger fan base. It just, Coventry felt like the favourites, and when Luton went 1-0 up, that was one thing. Coventry then drew level, and it felt like momentum had shifted, so it went to penalties, and the fact that Luton won the penalties in front of their fans as well, it was actually an unbelievable spectacle and a massive, massive achievement. We know how it played out for Luton. We know where they are now, but ultimately, as a Luton fan, if you were to never see the Premier League again, you look at this moment here. Special, special season, 100%. Rob Edwards, where he made his name as a manager, this is where it was. And if, to be honest with you, if I think of Rob Edwards, I'm thinking of Luton. So there you go. Luton, 2022-23, Premier League football was achieved. Insane statement. 2009, they were in the National League. Mansfield Town up next. It's the 2012-13 season. The Conference Premier. When I saw the words Conference Premier when I was doing my research, by the way, it just brought back so much nostalgia. I was like, God, remember when it was called the Conference? I mean, I had people in the comments recently, I accidentally called it the Conference, and they were saying it's the National League. Hey, lads, if you were from back in the day, you'd know all about the Conference Premier. Well, Mansfield, you fans, you do. 2008, went down to the conference, 5 years in the conference. And I tell you now, similar to Exeter, it is a graveyard for clubs. They need to extend it to 2 automatic and 1 playoff, because look at some of these teams that haven't gone up. And then it's very interesting to see as well, the likes of Wrexham in the conference. Of course they were, but back in the day before the money came in, well, Mansfield, it's a very interesting story. So they actually, like I say, needed to. Financially, things were very dodgy. They needed to get back to the Football League, and the relief that you could see, I watched the footage back of the final day, the relief that you can see amongst the fan base, amongst the owner, it was just like, thank God we made it, because Kidderminster Harriers, as you can see, they pushed them to the limit, to the absolute limit. So an amazing achievement to win the conference by 2 points, to not go through the playoffs. Matt Green, 25 goals as well. People saying that's one of the greatest ever Conference Premier, maybe not nationally, but Conference Premier individual seasons. Special season for Mansfield, back where they belong. A club of that size, it should be in the Football League, and it's a good job they did, because look, where's Kidderminster Harriers now? Again, I know their clubs are different spectrums, but where are they? This league is a graveyard. Northampton Town now, 2015-16 League 2 champions. Cleared it, by the way. 13 points clear of Oxford in second. Absolutely ran away with it. Chris Wilder. Now, tell me that I don't know ball, because genuinely, I had some vague idea, but Chris Wilder at Northampton is insane to me. So fair play, Chris Wilder, mental. But he actually coached this team to be an unbelievable League 2 team. Into League 1, this is where Chris Wilder made his name. But as for Northampton, as an individual season, 99 points, ran away with the league. It doesn't get much better than this. A fantastic season, and it sent them back to League One. They've been a yo-yo, but this one stands out more than most. Peterborough United up now, 2010-11. This season is special for many reasons, to be honest, because they were so good going forward, not great defensively, but so good going forward. They actually scored more goals than any other team in the EFL, 106 goals. That is ridiculous. That is why Craig Smith managed to hit 30 himself, which is insane. Captained, by the way, by Grant McCann, Darren Ferguson, long-standing manager. Yes, I know that wasn't from the season. I just thought, if I've got a high-quality photo of him for Peterborough, I'll use it. Now, look at the league table. They came fourth. So they weren't necessarily close to getting automatic promotion, but they beat Huddersfield 3-0 in the final and made it look easy. And again, a bit of a nostalgia trip for everyone here. Just to say a few names. I mean, we said Craig Smith, Grant McCann, George Boyd. Does anyone remember George Boyd? If you don't remember George Boyd, you're far too young. You're just too young, man. Like, it's just sad that you never got to see those long, luscious locks playing football for Peterborough. Yeah, this was, when I look back, I enjoyed this one. This was a good team, wasn't it? This was a good team with some iconic players for the EFL, I guess. It really was. So 2010-11, and bear in mind that they'd gone back to back. So from League 2 to League 1, from League 1 to Champions. Well, yeah, the Championship, near enough. But they were relegated and then bounced back to back, which is insane as well. So credit where credit is due. Plymouth now, and I've gone way back on this one, way back. 2003, 2004. So let me know if there's a better moment, Plymouth fans. But the reason I've gone for this is because it was actually the League One title, 90 points. So absolutely cleared it as well, which is great. But also Paul Sturrock, who you can see in this corner here. So he actually left the club mid-season to go to Southampton. Brian Williams came in and took over. I mean, I couldn't even find a picture of this Brian Williams guy. But regardless, he came in and saw the job out from March until the end of the season. So Plymouth managed to get promotion. It had been 20 plus years since they were back in the Championship. So it's just a staple for the club. So, you know, like the modern era of Plymouth that we've seen of being a bit of a yo-yo club, well, realistically, it all starts here. This is what it was. They had 6 consecutive Championship seasons that followed from this one. So this was the foundation. This was the building blocks. A very important season. So for you younger Plymouth fans, I feel as though if you haven't gone, go and look back at this and see what you think, because it's a very interesting season, very old. Yeah, I just thought it was an iconic season. A lot of the older Plymouth fans, if you're watching, you'll know all about this. A special moment for the club. Now then, Port Vale, I've gone for 2021-22. Playoff winners beat Mansfield 3-0 in the playoff final. So nice and easy, no real drama there. But as for Port Vale, they've had so many seasons of like mismanagement, just horrible, gloomy times. So when you're celebrating your club's victories and when you're getting into certain positions, just know Port Vale, they didn't have that for such a long time. Robbie Williams came in, that brought all of this like media national attention, but it just gave the club the boost they needed. James Wilson netting 15 goals as well, a great season from him. And ultimately, this was just a club that just bounced back after years and years and years of negative times, managed to get positive. So I had to go for this one because it was just a special time for the club. 2021 as well. So it's one of the more recent ones, but I just think, I mean, Port Vale fans, maybe some of you older ones, are there any moments from back in the day I could have missed? I just looked at this and thought, it doesn't get much better than this. Now then, Reading 2004-2005. I mean, where do you even start with this one? The first time Reading ever got promotion to the Premier League. That's the first point. The second point is they got 106 points. 106 points. That is still the record to this day. Also, these guys went on a 33-game unbeaten run. Like, just put that into perspective. A 33-game unbeaten run. They only lost twice all season. They nearly did the Championship invincible. I would argue if you do the Championship invincible, that's a bigger achievement than the Premier League. Well, look, that's a debate for another day, but I agree with that statement, right? And this team in general, just full of nostalgia. Kevin Doyle, Dave Kitson. Like, this was just a great time. Steve Cottrell as manager, lifting the trophy. Like, this was just insane. 5-0 winners as well on the final day to crown it off. I mean, Reading fans, I'm so sorry to say this. Your life has peaked. Your life has peaked as a Reading fan because it just doesn't get better than this, does it? What an achievement. 106 points. Right then, so we've already covered this for Rotherham. We've already covered it. But by the way, I tell you what, it's not Rotherham's best season. This season currently, yep, I'm still hate watching, lads. I'm sorry. If you don't know, Rotherham fans, they gave me pouters at the start of the season because I said they're going to go down. I can't stop. I can't stop myself. I'm sorry. But let's go back to a better time for Rotherham. 2013-14. We've already covered it. Leyton Orient. That was their greatest ever season, in my opinion. Now, Rotherham were on the other end of it. They came from behind twice to go on and win. And one thing I loved is this big man up top here, Steve Evans, crying on the pitch, just like what football's meant to be. Do you know what I mean? Football's an emotional game. It is. And this was just encapsulated by Steve Evans in that moment. Of course, for Rotherham as well, they put themselves back in the Championship for the first time in such a long period of time too. So it was just an all-round special moment. And to come from behind twice, that takes balls. So credit where credit is due. What an achievement this was for Rotherham. 86 goals scored as well. They were goal-scoring machines. Of course, they were going to come back twice. Scoring goals is what they did. So Steve Evans and his Rotherham side get it for me. 2013-14 special season. There was when I looked into it, 2001 to 2, but I just thought, come off it. Like, let's talk about more recent times if we can, because this was special. Stevenage, at the time, Stevenage Borough, in the conference. Now, what is so crazy about this? Because, of course, Stevenage now, they're in League One, so you could say that, oh, what about the League Two promotion? No. It's all about this. It's all about this. 1996, Stevenage were denied promotion. They won the conference. They did what they were supposed to do. They were denied promotion because their ground didn't meet the standards required. So imagine, in today's day and age, look at Luton in the Premier League. They had to spend a few million on getting it sorted, but ultimately, of course, they're going to get promoted. Stevenage were denied that. 14 years they spent in the conference from that moment trying to get promoted, which brings us to this, 2009-10. A special moment. Stevenage not only going up, they won the conference as well, which is even more impressive, 99 points. But going up after 14 years ago, doing the same, but being denied, that, I'm all for that. That's grit, determination, all the rest of it. But even that moment makes this even more special. Do you know what I mean? It makes it even more special for them to actually go on and get the job done. So a story that, I'm not going to lie, I didn't even know about until doing this research. But when I was reading into it, I was thinking, this is a whole video in itself. The rise of Stevenage, underrated, because 14 years is a long time in the graveyard, as we call it, to not have anything positive happen. So credit to Stevenage for getting the job done. 2009-10, hands down, wins it for me. Stockport County. A little bit like Bolton, one of these clubs I've got a proper soft spot for. Now, 2011, Stockport were in the Championship. Crazy. Fast forward a bit further down the line, and they find themselves in 2021 in the National League. And it's been 11 years that they've been out of the EFL, which is crazy to me, right? Crazy. But regardless, they're there. Dave Challinor, a man who has done an amazing job at Stockport, but facing maybe his toughest hurdle here to get out the National League because, of course, they played against Wrexham all the way to the end of the season. And it was the Wrexham that are backed by Hollywood. So you've got the global media honing in on this rivalry. Who's going to get there? Stockport didn't falter. 94 points to Wrexham's 88. Incredible achievement to actually beat them, just because sometimes football's momentum, isn't it? When you're pumping this momentum into Wrexham, who it just always felt like Wrexham, of course, are going to do it, but Stockport stayed firm. Dave Challinor showing that you can have money, you can have Hollywood, but you don't have my tactical ability. Paddy Madden as well, 22 goals scored. Just a special season for Stockport. I do, however, think that I would replace this should Stockport get promoted to the Championship, because it will just feel like a completely new time for them. So let's see if Dave Challinor can complete the journey, maybe even Premier League. But yeah, this season, special. Wigan Athletic, 2012-2013. Oh, you just knew it was going to be this, didn't you? Of course you did. Now, Wigan, as you can see, finished in 18th place. So they are relegated to the Championship. But what they also did was they won the FA Cup against Manchester City. The Manchester City of modern times as well, the money Manchester City. Ben Watson 91st minute header. One of, if not the biggest ever FA Cup shocks, in my opinion. Everyone had Man City to go and do that. Everyone. But the crazy thing is Roberto Martinez, the manager of Wigan at the time, as you can see, this man, 3 days later, after 8 consecutive seasons in the Premier League, saw his side get relegated. So you go and win the FA Cup, 3 days later, you're relegated from the Premier League. I mean, like, insane, isn't it? Just, I don't think we'll ever see a story quite like this again. Maybe, I mean, who knows? But I just don't think you're ever going to see something as dramatic and as crazy as this. So, of course, it was going to be the FA Cup winner season for Wigan. And lastly, it is Wycombe 2019-20, the cursed year of football. And I do apologise, the points that actually haven't loaded in, but it was like there's something along those lines in terms of points, but it was points per game. That's what it went down to. The season didn't finish, but we did still have a playoff final where they did win 1-0. No one was there. So maybe you could say, why have you chosen this as Wycombe's greatest ever season? Well, it's the first season in 133 years, the whole club's history, and they hadn't been a championship team. So I just feel as though, I know I said from the fans' perspective, but when you were sat at home in your living room, Wycombe fans, this would have been a great moment, is what I'm thinking, you know? A great moment. Bearing in mind as well, Wycombe only had 9 players contracted to the club at the start of the season. 9. So they built this squad. Gareth Ainsworth, I mean, whether you like him or not, this was just his time, wasn't it? I mean, Gareth Ainsworth, like, iconic at this time. Joe Jacobson, like, just this whole Wycombe team is just the best Wycombe team I think we've personally ever seen. Maybe the Wycombe fans might disagree, but iconic, very good football team. And the fact that they did go up in the playoff final as well, I know there were no fans there. There should have been fans there. So maybe you can make the argument. Let me know in the comments. But I just think a special season nonetheless. So that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do let me know. What do you think of these style of videos? I've obviously tried to do something a bit different and I can tweak and change things. So if there's anything in future that you want to see, I'm going to be doing this for the Championship and I'm going to be doing it for League 2 as well. But just give me some time because, as I say, this is blood, sweat and tears. This video took a long time, but that is going to be coming 100%. I can do it for the Premier League as well if people want to see it, but I've got loads more content coming. We've got Keep, Sell, Sign. That is going to start as soon as the season is finished. Of course, we're going to be reacting to my season predictions that I made at the start of the season as well, which, yeah, I got a few wrong. I got a lot wrong, okay? But who didn't? Who predicted certain things happening this season? Blackpool, I'm actually specifically looking at you. I said you'd get promoted. Anyway, regardless, we'll get to that. But all of this content is coming, and I've got so much more in the pipeline as well. So if you are enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. But I will leave this here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will catch you on the next one.